Central, that's called Central District.
Oh, and the deer on 90?
Yeah.
Yeah. They went all the way up there and they never,
There's no cinco
there
de
was no deer on the
I
road.
tried this morning, but I couldn't.
Call the regular meeting of Cobre Board of Education in the session. It is 5 o'clock.
And no shade.
Just, let us show that Mr. Juliano is not here. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Salute the flag of the state of New Mexico.
This is a symbol of friendship
among the United cultures. Entertain a motion for approval of agenda items.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Gomez, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cordova. Any corrections to the agenda? Call for the vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of May 17th.
Move. Move.
Move. Motion by Mr. Cordova, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Olini. Any corrections to the minutes? Call for the vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of May 24th.
So move.
Motion by Ms. Gomez, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Olini. Any corrections to the minutes? Call for the vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Entertain a motion for approval of this minutes for the special board meeting of June the 1st.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Cordova, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gomez. Any corrections to those minutes?
I had some corrections on that one in on our packet. It had the one where it said that one of the things that was in correction. It said that the adjournment was done by me at 5:16, and I called and told her that I had not adjourned it, and she gave us a corrected copy. So as per the correction, that's good.
Understand the corrections? Call for the vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Carries. Move to unfinished business.
We have none at this time, Mr. President. We can move on to number 3.
Okay. Any public input in reference to our agenda? Richard? No public input in reference to our agenda? Okay, administration.
Mr. Board President, this is Dorcas Casilla.
Yeah,
I do believe, I'm gonna acknowledge the fact that I have my hand raised. Can you guys hear me?
I didn't see it, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I guess, again, good evening, Board President, members of the full board, I guess, maybe not public input, but more a question, as it pertains to the agenda of tonight's meeting, under executive session, I see, item 7, there's, 3 items for discussion. If each action item, and it's my understanding that, in executive session, the no action can be taken. Action would be taken, in open session. Can you provide a little bit of clarification on that?
Yes, we will go into executive session but no action will be taken. We will be coming back out into open session to do any of those action items.
So the agenda as, this
To do action to
No,
go into.
we go into executive and then, we discuss, right now, the only thing that we're gonna discuss in executive session will be, maybe the appointment of a interim superintendent, but then the others will have, all the action items will have to come back out into open session. But no action will be taken in executive session.
okay, thank you.
Okay? Okay, administration,
That's it.
Okay. Okay, administration, Rob Price is the first one, the architect. He called yesterday morning and said he had only one contact from one of the surveyors. So he said, but he's gonna call him and he'll be ready to give you a full report at the next regular board meeting. So no one's, Rob Price will not be calling in tonight. And if I may go on to action B, Snell Middle School mascot, I don't see Mr. Avalos. Are you online, Mr. Avalos?
Yes, I am.
Please go ahead and make your presentation to the board.
Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Mendoza, we're coming to the end of the process here of selecting a mascot for the school. Obviously, before, right about the time we broke for COVID, we had this on the table as far as making a switch of mascots. We've gone through the school year, just, getting through. Last time we had kids on here in the school. And now it becomes a situation where we do need to come up with a decision with the impending school year coming in. Obviously, just because we need to make some changes, change our letterheads, and in some cases even go and change some of our school uniforms that no longer reflect the old mascots or the old name of our school. So we've gone through this process way back when, near the beginning of the last school year. We did go out and survey the students and the parents, trying to see what direction they would like to go as far as any kind of potential mascot names that may came up that might have been something that they were interested in renaming the school. At that point, we had as many as 15 different mascot names. We did a second polling, and which involved parents and involved students to kind of narrow that down to where we finally came to the conclusion of two final ones. The two finalists being the minors, and being the other one was of course the Eagles, which knowing history of Snell Middle School, that was one that was here prior to the changing to the old mascot that we just no longer have in place here. We conducted our last election last week. We had a total of, we put it out to the community, and we had about 118 respondents from the general public, being alumni, being parents. And then also we had approximately, I think it was about a couple of different, about 116 of our students went ahead and did respond to the next, this last go round. And it came out relatively close, but the difference between the adults and the alumni and the difference between the students were definitely noted. The adults, our alumni, voted about 55% in favor of the minors selection. And then on the flip side of that, the students wanted to have the Eagles, with 48% of the vote coming in for that. So we had a definite distinction between the two votes. The adults wanting the minors, the students wanting the Eagles, and we had approximately an 11-point difference in the voting there. So, you know, with discussion and, I think, you know, just basically in tallying of the votes, in compared to both, we did have that the minors did, edge out the Eagles in head-to-head voting. Okay.
Questions?
Any questions?
I don't have any, I don't know.
So, Mr. Alvarez, you're recommending Eagles?
Minors.
I'm sorry, Miners, yeah.
Minors, yeah, that's who had the slight edge. More of the adults going towards the minors, the students going towards the Eagles. But in overall vote casting, the minors did edge out the Eagles just by a few percentage points.
Okay. The administration recommends that we support the recommendation from all of us.
You heard the recommendation, you hear motion.
So moved. So moved.
Hello, Troy?
Motion by Mr. Holguin.
Hello?
Hello?
Troy?
Yeah.
So,
Hey,
Mr.
this is Joe Williana. Sorry, I'm just trying to join you now by phone. I've forgotten about it until I got a text from Gabe.
Okay. You have a
Can
motion?
you hear me?
Yeah. Do I hear a second?
Okay. What's the motion on?
The motion is, to name the Snell, the minors. Do I hear a second?
What is the motion on? Sorry.
The motion is to rename Snell to the minors.
Troy, I can't hear the motion.
The motion was made that we rename the Snell the minors.
Oh, sorry.
Do I hear a second?
I still didn't hear it, Troy. I'm sorry. I had the volume down.
Okay, the motion was to rename the, and this is the last time I'll say it, the motion was to rename the Snell the minors. Do I hear a second?
Oh. I'll take it.
Okay, second by Mr. Williana. Any discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries.
What was it, 3-2?
3-2.
Okay, item C, Mr. President, members of the board, is graduation requirements. Ms. Montoya, you have the floor, please.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. I just wanted to come to you, I have Mr. Benya online. We are looking at amending the graduation requirements for the current senior, junior, and sophomore class to the state recommended number of credits to 24 instead of the 26 to help the students recover credits due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
And what has the state said?
So the state requirement is 24 credits in order to graduate. We would still continue with 4 credits of math, 4 credits of English, 3 credits of science, 3.5 of social studies, 1 PE, 1 dual credit, 1 health, and then the electives and 1 Spanish. So we're taking 2 elective credits out and leaving the state mandate of 24.
For next school year or now or?
For the 3 classes, for the senior class, the junior class, and the sophomore class, and then the freshman class will continue with the 26 credits.
So it would go on until those
Yeah.
sophomores graduate?
Till the class of 2024 graduates. So the class of 25 will be 26 credits, like it is right now. So right now, looking at numbers, we have 14 seniors who are short credits. Juniors, we have 11, and sophomores, we have 17.
Could I ask the reason why go back to it for the freshmen?
We still want to keep our standards high and expect the students. We have 7 classes, so they can actually graduate with 28 credits. So we're giving them the option, 2 classes to play with the 26. Right now, the classes they really need to make up are the core classes. And so we're taking away electives anyway, but we're trying to help them and get them motivated enough to get their credits to graduate.
Ms. Montoya, when you came to me to explain it, it's mostly because of the pandemic
Yes.
and the students not being able to do electives, and
Yes.
they were virtually.
Yeah.
And this would not penalize them to have to make that up. Okay, it's not their fault that they couldn't get it because of that, and it's only the electives, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Everything else is staying the same. All the core classes have to be completed.
and by the freshmen coming in, the freshmen will be able to, they'll be on, in person, and they'll have access to the teachers. And this is not to penalize the other ones.
Yeah, the freshmen are the only ones that are coming in with a clean slate. So they'll be able to start with their 7 credits.
So it's the incoming freshman. you're
Yeah, the
talking about.
incoming
Okay.
freshmen.
Yeah.
This is only for the present 3 courses, 3 classes that were in at Cobre High School during the COVID-19 pandemic time period.
Okay.
Okay.
The administration recommends that you approve as presented by the high school administration. Please.
Here's the recommendation, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gomez, second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Holguin. Any other questions? Call for the vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Let the minutes show that one opposed. Okay, next.
Okay, item D, Striving Readers Comprehensive Literacy, SRCL. Ms. Barrera?
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, a few years ago, the district wrote and was granted the Striving Readers Grant. The grant was scheduled to end at the end of this current school year, the 2021 school year. However, because there was not all the districts who were given this grant used all the money, so there was a pot of money left. So what the state did is they redistributed the money. So Cobre District will be receiving an additional $253,253.48 in additional funds for the Striving Readers Grant. As you can see in the budget sheet, the purpose of the additional monies will be to help provide compensation to coaches and interventionists for the for the extended learning time program and the K-5 plus 140 pilot. It'll also be to continue working on our goals that we had set forth as part of this grant. And one of them is to continue with the professional development and the instructional materials for readers, writers workshop. And the last item is to pay for any teachers who want to attend additional professional development through Teachers College for readers, writers workshop. And that's the breakdown of the $253,000. And it doesn't need to be an action item, it's my understanding, because it's just a continuation of the current grant, just additional funding, so it's an informational item for you to let you all know if you receive additional funds.
Any questions? Anybody? No? Okay. We go to action items on administration E and F. And Mr. President, members of the board, I'd like to have the same motion, approve E and F because it's donations from Freeport McMoran or copper mine that's here. The first one is $1,500 that was donated by Freeport for graduation. And if there's any questions as to what was done with this money, we've got the principal here, and that's $1,500. And then the second donation that they do year after year is for activities to fund and support activities, not just athletics, but elementary also, if they need to go to state-sponsored activities, in the amount of $10,000. So overall, the donation together was $11,500, and they're both in activity accounts. Any questions? So we have Terry here to answer. Anybody? And we'll get a letter out to them thanking them for their donation. Okay. Questions, anybody?
You recommend approval?
Yes, I recommend approval of the research. Yes, sir.
Hear the recommendation, do I hear a motion?
So move.
Motion by Mr. Cordova, second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Odine. Any questions or comments? Like you said, let's make sure we get a thank you.
Yes, we will. Yes, sir. Did they vote? No, they didn't. You guys voted?
No.
Not yet? Okay.
Any other questions? Comments? Call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. One opposed. Motion carried.
Item G is a donation from the New Mexico Athletics Association Foundation, and this is strictly for the cheerleaders, and this is for them to purchase tumbling mats, and it's in the amount of $2,000, and the administration recommends that we accept. And questions, Terry, I understand the cheerleaders have to match $600+ to purchase this? Okay, so there is a match locally that the cheerleaders have to do on this. Administration recommends that we approve.
You heard the recommendation, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Levine, second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Cordova. Any questions or comments? Call for the vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Yeah, item H, Mr. President and members of the board, is a yearly thing that you all have to do as board members, is approve the schedule of board meetings, and you have it right there. It's all the way from July 12th, which is the first one, through June 27th of the year 2022. If there's any changes to it, we can discuss it right now, but that's what I want you all to tentatively approve. Of course, we can always, on emergencies and stuff, change the dates. But also what I'd like to recommend is that, I'm not going to be the superintendent in charge in July, but I'd recommend that you consider the Performing Arts Center as your meeting place in case the crowds get bigger. And we have that, and I know we talked to the tech people that they could set up a lot better. And then remember, up there you have the room behind for the executive session. Okay, and that way the crowd can stay in the Performing Arts. That's only my recommendation, or the high school, your library, they could also use that place. So before you all post for these meetings, I think you might, because it's a little crowded here if you look at a crowd. And then I guess if you do executive session, you have to clear the room, don't you? And just close it up. Okay. Administration recommends if you approve as presented, and we'll get that going. So
You heard the recommendation, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Levine, second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Cordova. Any questions, comments? Call for the vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We'll just do
Superintendent's report, the only thing I have right now, Mr. President, members of the board, is reminder that the July 12th board meeting will be your next regular scheduled board meeting. It'll be announced later as to where you all want to meet, so you can check with Mr. Sepulveda to do that. And I just want to let you all know that again, that this is my last board meeting. It's been an honor and a pleasure to have served you guys. And Mr. Sepulveda, it's perfect attendance, huh? I made it. I didn't miss a board meeting. Okay, so that's a bonus, don't you think? Well, anyway, that's all I have right now, and I guess it takes us to public input.
Moves us to public input. Do you have any public input, Victor?
No.
Okay,
Mr. President, members of the board, at this time, I'd like to ask your permission to excuse myself, because this has nothing to do with me, as you'll be discussing my replacement. I'd like to ask everyone to please step out and let them continue. Is that okay, Mr. President? Members? Yeah. Let's go.
we're gonna meet in here, or do we need to?
Camera's gonna be on.
You have to get a motion to go to
Motion is September.
Okay. Like to, come back in the open session, entertain a motion to come back in the open session.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Levine, second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Guadiana. We want to do executive at,
26.
5:26, to discuss, the interim superintendent position. No action was taken at that time. So now we're back in the open. We, discussing a few things, and I will entertain a motion on going from here.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a recommendation that we move forward with a recruitment and outreach process for the interim position so that we can solicit candidates that are interested in taking that on.
For how long?
A short period of time. I recommend that we do it for maybe outreach for 4 or 5 days, get it out in the newspaper, our website, our Facebook page, advertise it, and then come back in a week or so, review applicants' resumes, maybe some reference checks and interviews, and then make a selection right after.
Here's the recommendation. Do we agree with that?
I think maybe we could just put more specificity, like say, the announcements go out tomorrow. We meet in a week and review the applications. And we include that in the announcement that we will be reviewing the applications a week from today. And then meet after we've received the materials, go into closed session again, make a decision, and announce that at the next full blown, announce that on that meeting.
Yeah, agreeable with everybody.
You have to have enough time to advertise the next meeting.
The other thing is that we need to get with somebody that's gonna do the advertisement. Remember, Greenie's gone already. So we need to find out who, I need to get with Mr. Mendoza and find out who's doing the advertisements. That's one.
Well,
How soon we can get it out there.
then we could state that the announcement be put out as soon as possible, and 7 days from the days that it's announced that we'll meet again. And when the announcement is made, we can take 4 days to put the meeting on notice so that we can comply with the 3-day requirement for the meeting, and then we can close it up.
Is that fine with everybody?
You have a motion, you have a second?
Well, he did recommend it. He didn't make it in form of a motion.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm
But I
asking.
thought that this had an action. We had to vote on.
Would you make that as a motion then, Gabe? Would that be amenable to you?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we move forward with that process.
Okay, motion by Mr. Olguin, second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Guadiana. Any other discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries. The other thing that we need to discuss is what are we gonna do about the superintendent? Are we gonna try to go with a company that does the majority of the work for us? Or what are we gonna do? I no idea.
I'd like to make a motion that we go with that company and search for a superintendent. They do the whole process. Except for the interviews, they do the listing, they do the advertising, they do everything on it. If it's, keep it legally if it's time to do a motion.
Is this with New Mexico School Boards Association?
Yes,
Motion by Mr. Cordova that we go with, the New Mexico School Board's, Dr. Piper? I don't know what, is that the one that gave the report?
yes.
Motion by Mr. Cordova. Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gomez. Any other discussion?
I'm concerned about doing a selection without having any competition. No solicitation for, contract proposals, no cost that's being discussed. And I think we're violating all procurement, regulations regarding making this selection. It seems to be predetermined again, and not fully looking at our options. Certainly the cost is a big factor to me. This is something that I don't think is rocket science for us to do. It's convenient, certainly, and it's probably much more professional. But we need to consider all available options for doing that process before approving one, not soliciting any kind. This is basically a sole source, and I don't think we have the justification to do a sole source procurement process.
Can you comment on that, Tara?
But we could find out from the New Mexico School Boards Association if they already did a contract, if they've already done the procurement on those, and then the School Boards Association has already done the procurement on it, then you can piggyback on the contract. Because we're a part of the New Mexico School Boards Association, we would be using their contract to procure. You have to look at whether they have this, they can have a state contract as well. So if they're on a statewide pricing agreement, we can use them that way. If they're on CES, we can use them that way. So if they've already gone through a procurement process, we can use somebody that's already got a statewide contract or a CES contract. If not, then it would depend on the cap of the cost, because within certain ranges, you can go out and you can say this company versus this company, and you don't have to do like a formal procurement to put out bids. So under $60,000, as long as it doesn't cost up to $60,000, then you can go ahead and do a contract service for under $60,000.
And regarding those that are on the state contract, if there's more than one, then that would be identified as well and proposed to the board, saying these are the options within the state. That'd be fine. Either one of those processes, I think, are much more open.
Right, and I think that we could just, in a day, Jackie Riley's and training, or we could use the, since we're using the REC as our procurement vehicle right now, because we don't have the certified procurement, we're using the REC. So, we can ask Erica at the REC to look into it for us, and then she would just look for the state contract in the state purchasing division, and also CES. And if we find that there's multiple companies, then we would come back and present like the multiple companies, and then you can call, and then you would decide as a board which company that you would want. If there's multiple companies. Yes, please.
No, I was gonna just say that I'd agree with that. I think we should explore the options before we choose one. If there are multiple options, we should look for, see which company best suits our needs, and of course, abiding by the contracting and the money side of things too, making sure we're paying.
So as a point of order, I would like to object then to the motion because it violates the procurement process in terms of becoming a sole source, and we're not considering competitive offers.
You want to make a motion?
Whatever you think is right.
So I guess what I would say is, do we agree that we wanna go with one of these companies? Or what are we gonna do?
It's,
Because let me tell you something, because I would hate to bring these companies back in here and then we tell them, no, we're not gonna use you.
absolutely. I agree 100% with that. And the way that we could make that decision is to solicit solicit the proposals, look at the proposals, and we find it amenable. It'll include the cost, it'll include the process. We'll know what we're voting on.
So my question is, are we saying right now that we're gonna go with a company? We don't know which one, but are we gonna go with a company?
No, because if we find the cost is prohibitive on all the proposals, and we say, you know what, we can save $20,000 by doing this on our own, then that should be something the board has the discretion of. Soliciting the proposals will hopefully bring a market value that is well within reason, and then I'd be very supportive of selecting it, but not obligating myself now to say, yes, we're gonna take a private contractor, not knowing the terms, the cost, the timeframes.
I know that one did give us cost, he gave us timeframes, and that's from the day that he
Cost also.
gave us a presentation.
I would say that's probably our probably the easiest option would be to have a company do it for us, other than doing it ourselves. I think it's gonna be challenging to do it
Well,
ourselves, and I think a company,
I'll tell you, we've gone through at least three,
yeah.
and it's no fun.
It's very time consuming. I was involved in them, and with your job and mine, and to be here just about every other day and doing interviews and individually, it takes forever, and having someone having a company like that will actually facilitate and actually hear our input, I think would be worthwhile.
And 4 or 5 hours every
Yeah,
time
it's-
that you come.
So
Mm-hmm. I would agree a company is the way to go, but, I mean, we gotta be fiscally responsible, obviously, you know?
Well, we can say right now that we're gonna go with a company, but then if the prices are outrageous, we can always say no.
Right.
But I think that's what we need to vote right now, is that, are we gonna go with a company?
I'll make the motion saying that, having a presentation that we will go with the company, regardless of what company we have, with Terry, checking into the other ones, if it's a state contract or through PET or whatever. I mean, with my job, and having a state contract is so much less cost than what a regular contract is gonna cost anyway, so that would be the route to go.
I agree with the rationalization. I just don't know why it's necessary right now, rather than waiting till we get the information of who's on a state contract, who's not. Then we could do that then.
But that would mean another meeting.
No,
But there's a motion on the floor. if
Yeah,
somebody's gonna
there's a
second.
motion on the floor that we do that. Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, second by Mr. Holguin. Any other comment?
the discussion is that I don't think it's necessary at this point. We shouldn't preclude ourselves from options until we see what the terms are.
Well, that's what I say. If the
That's-
terms are outrageous, then we can always say no. But right now, we need to decide if we're gonna go to a company. If not, if we're gonna do it ourselves, then we need to start preparing. How are we gonna do the outreach? How are we gonna how long are we gonna give them to return the application? How are we gonna do the review of the applications? How are we gonna do the interviews?
So to understand what you're saying then, if we go forward and vote yes on this, and then we go and look at everybody else and we decide, you know what, none of these are really something we want to do, let's do it on our own, that option will still be available?
Yes?
Okay.
Do we have a ballpark idea on what the cost may be to hire one of these
Yeah.
They gave us a presentation last
The
time,
last one, yeah. What was I forget what the price was on that.
$10,000, and then everything else advanced that's not outside of them was up to $15,000 to $25,000.
There was a, call for the question. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We will be, would you, Terry, get a hold of somebody and have them give us some price ranges, or if they wanna give us a presentation,
She can vote the listings, because she, like I said, we're under her license right now as far as procurement, so we wanna make sure that we stay within that. And then, she'll get back to us pretty quick.
thank you.
And I also have the copy of the minutes for you guys to send you and Frank.
Okay. Okay, that, I think that takes care of the agenda. No, you.
All on the agenda.
And we need printed it out for me, okay? Okay, that was it. Items for next agenda? Your meeting will be in the 12th. Let's do a special meeting between now and then.
We have that special meeting between now and then.
Okay, none? Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Thank you. Everybody.